What if the cell service is completely unavailable? This is where your alternate communication tools are going to come into play. Now, before I get into that, I keep all of my primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency, and I've done a lot of videos on this, when it comes to keeping everything in a Faraday bag that makes them EMP proof. Yes, maybe that'll never be an issue, but why not? If there's something like a large solar flare, that's not going to affect your small electronics unless they're plugged into the grid, because that affects long transmission lines. If you saw the last live stream we did, we talked about EMPs and solar flares, but the high altitude EMP could destroy nearly all small electronics depending on how it was detonated, where it was detonated, and what the reach might be. So two-way radios, small, FRS, GMRS radios can be useful if you and your family or your teammates, if you have a team that you're preparing with, if they each have one, you're within a certain amount of miles from each other. So they don't rely on infrastructure. It's really just line of sight range. Some of them are, especially in the city, it's probably just a couple to a few miles. In the longer areas where there's not buildings in the way, you might be able to get some good walkie-talkies for 20, 25 miles, things like that. For a work scenario, maybe you have a coworker. Maybe you're headed out together. Having radios can keep you in touch if you guys get separated or out of shouting range or whatever the case is. You really should get into ham radio, also called amateur radio. It's a deeper hobby and a tool, but it's one of the most robust communication methods when all else fails. A handheld radio like a Bofang or whatever your favorite ham radio might be can reach much further than an FRS radio, especially if it's connected to repeaters, provided those repeaters have power. So if something happens and they lose their power, those repeaters aren't going to work. Your distance is going to be limited. Now, you do need to have a license to transmit legally in normal times. But in a true emergency, if it's life or death, the rules are relaxed. So with a ham radio, you might be able to contact someone dozens of miles away, or at least listen in on an emergency responder frequency to gather intel. So I keep a ham radio. I keep one of the walkie-talkies that also has GMRS capability. So if you do have a walkie-talkie with GMRS capability, without permission, you're not going to be able to use other people's repeaters, but you don't need a license for the GMRS. You just need a registration with the FCC. But when it comes to ham radios, there are, I think, 3 different types of licenses that you do need. And check out hamradioprep.com. We don't have a deal with them or anything, but they have a really good site where they do training. And you can also do prep for the classes, and they can help you get set up to take those tests to get your licenses. Another is emergency radios, something with NOAA, AM, FM, small battery powered, or even a hand crank is great for receiving news and emergency broadcast. It's not going to let you talk to other people, but at least you can hear alerts, weather updates, and maybe even instructions from authorities. I have a little hand crank radio with me all the time. Again, I also have a lot of power banks, and the radio I have has a flashlight built in. It's worth its weight because it's very lightweight. It's got a lot of different features, and they're pretty awesome. Now, satellite phones or satellite communicators. I have a satellite phone. Someone else on the team has a satellite phone. It's kind of a high-end piece of kit. A lot of people will say, well, wait a minute. I can use satellite messaging, or I can use satellite through my cell phone as well, or I can use Starlink. And yeah, that's true. But if your primary is your cell phone and your cell phone dies or something happens, then your alternate or your contingency is also your primary. That doesn't really help you. If you have the money and you can pay for, you're probably going to pay between $70 and $100 a month for a good satellite phone, whether it's Inmarsat or Iridium. Or you can get a Garmin InReach or a SpotX or things like that and to send text through satellite. Again, you want something separate from your primary, which is your cell phone. Satellite on a phone, awesome. But again, you lose your phone breaks, then both your primary and your alternate are both gone. So you want to make sure you think about that. So some of these also have SOS features. I mean, I'm going to say I'm probably never going to get rid of my satellite phone. And if you get one, get the rollover minutes, because I only use it for emergencies, and I must have 14 to 16 hours worth of talk time saved up. And it's amazing. And they work anywhere in the world. So especially if you're going to travel a lot in remote areas, it could be a really worthy investment to get a satellite phone. Starlink. So if you guys saw the video I put out a week or two ago, I think it was a week or two ago, I did pick up one of the Starlink standards one of the on the go, like the mobile version, not the one for your house. I think I paid I think it was less than $350. And I didn't get the unlimited because, man, the unlimited is like $165 a month. I got the $50 a month, 50 gigabytes. Unless you're streaming movies all the time, I think you could surf the internet just doing normal internet activities pretty much all day, every day for the month. And you're probably not going to go over that 50 gigabytes. So to me, it's worth it. And the jump to go unlimited is just, it's too much. But I set it up. I have a video showing you guys kind of how it worked. Man, the Starlink is, it's pretty awesome.